Hello and welcome to the NFL Big Match Preview, brought to you by NFL Insight. I'm Andy Richmond, and one of the games that we're once again putting under the microscope this week is that San Diego Chargers visit to the Denver Broncos. As we move the playoffs one stage further, we move them on from the wild card round into the divisional round this week. We'll be looking at, in this preview, betting markets, having a look at how the two teams have matched up so far this year. Of course, they've met twice, being divisional foes already. Lots of those important tactical elements of the game that we like to look at, and we'll give you a small sample of our live match trading statistics, and this will be one of the games that we're trading live on Sunday night. Let's take a look at the betting on the game first, and of course you can see this is rather lopsided. The Broncos, of course, second favourites for the Super Bowl at the moment, and they have they're 1.25 with the bookmakers. We reckon they should be a few ticks longer, and the Chargers are about the right price. So you're looking at a little bit of a lopsided mismatch on paper here, at least in any case. Let's just have a look and see how they fare on one of the exchanges. These are the matchbook prices here, and you can see Denver about 1.26 there, and there's that Chargers price 4.6 to 4.8 at the moment. You probably get about 4.7, 4.8 if you actually ask for it, if you want to go straight up. But I think the handicap is quite interesting on this game, because the Broncos double digits, and of course last weekend you could have, if you'd have got the Packers minus 3.5, all the underdogs would have actually covered the spread last week, and I think that looks quite attractive. That 10, maybe 10.5 points you get in some places for the Chargers. I think the Broncos, they've been on the end of an upset before. Of course, they were against the Ravens last year at this stage of the contest, so you just be a little bit worried, and I think those 10 points look quite big. And one of the other things we look at, of course, is very popular on the NFL, is the point spread. 54 unders and overs here, and again I'd be inclined to just shade towards the unders here, because this could be a tight game to start with, and one of the things which I'll touch on later is that the Chargers are very, very good at controlling the ball and controlling the clock. That may well keep things on their side. Let's take a look and just reflect on the season, how it's gone for these two so far. Of course, Denver won the AFC West. They secured home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs with a 13-3 record. The Broncos scored 606 points. That's the most in a season in NFL history. That the Chargers, they're the side that come here on a little bit of a roll. They've won 5 in a row. That included last weekend's very good 27-10 win at Cincinnati in the wild card round. They look quite impressive there. The two teams, well, they faced each other, being divisional rivals, they faced each other 108 times. This is the first ever meeting in the postseason. This year the club split the season series. San Diego won 27-20 at Denver in week 15, with Rivers throwing 2 touchdown passes. So there's a little bit of a precedent there. Let's move on there. Let's take a look at the match dynamics and how things will go. What are the Chargers going to do? Well, pressure Peyton, I've put here. Manning was sacked only 18 times during the regular season, by far the lowest amongst starting quarterbacks who played in all 16 games. His ability to stand in the pocket with relative ease and comfort undoubtedly played a big role in his incredible success, and the Chargers' ability to generate a successful pass rush in Sunday's matchup could go a long way to determine out who comes on top here. But do the Chargers have what it takes to do that? To do just that? If recent success is an indication, they should at least be able to disrupt Manning at least a little bit, and they need to they need to do that here. Just look at some of these numbers. In blitzing situations, Manning has a 60.1 completion percentage with 13 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. In non-blitzing situations, that completion percentage goes way up to 70.8, 42 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So you really have got to try and get after him. Now, no team was better than Peyton Manning and company upon reaching the red zone. Then you have to try and limit the damage in the red zone. In 2013, the Broncos scored a touchdown on a remarkable 76.1% of their red zone attempts. That was tops in the NFL. However, the team that ranked second in that category was the Cincinnati Bengals, with a 71.4% success rate in the red zone. In the Chargers' upset victory over the Bengals, they limited them to only 1 touchdown in 3 attempts in the red zone. The importance of replicating that success cannot be overstated. It's hard to believe the Chargers' defence will prevent the Broncos from reaching the red zone at least a couple of times during Sunday's matchup. Holding them to field goals instead of surrendering touchdowns could make a huge difference in this game. Now, the Broncos ranked 27th in the NFL at defending the pass. Part of that undoubtedly had to do with opponents throwing often, thanks to the Broncos' constant early leads. Playing catch-up football basically. But that doesn't mean the Denver secondary should be let off the hook. In matchups between the Chargers and the Broncos during the regular season, Philip Rivers looked fantastic. He'll have to match Manning again here, but don't rule that out. Now, talking of Rivers, much of the Chargers' hopes will rest on Philip Rivers, but he's looked much better in Mike McCoy's system this year, which relies on him getting the ball out of his hands quickly and keeping the chains moving and minimising turnovers. A repeat of that style is needed on Sunday, and I'm sure that he can do that. He looked very, very good against the Bengals last Sunday, and he has threats. He has a short, intermediate and deep passing threat and knows how to use them effectively now. Get the ball out of your hands, keep the chains moving, keep the Broncos off the field. Now, the Chargers led the NFL in average time of possession this season at nearly 33 minutes per game. That wasn't by mistake. Run-pass balance is an oft-discussed approach that can have varying levels of effectiveness depending on the game's circumstances. But San Diego has a special sort of run-pass balance that extends beyond simply running comparable numbers of each type of play. What that type of balance does is to enable them to exert control in the game, and if they can do that on Sunday, they will keep the ball out of Manning's hands, keep the chains moving themselves, and limit the Broncos' scoring ability and opportunities. Now let's take a look at Denver, the home side. Over the previous 8 seasons, 6 of the Super Bowl winners have played on wildcard weekend, including the past 3 champions. The top 2 seeds wait and the pressure builds around them as their opponent has already worked through the butterflies and earned a win. It could be even more of a factor for a team like the Broncos. For many fans, last January's double overtime loss to the Ravens overshadows all the broken records this season, and that could be a factor on Sunday against a Chargers side that has nothing to lose. Now Denver one thing they must do is run the ball effectively to set up the pass. Against the Chargers at home, running back Noshu Moreno carried the ball 8 times, just 8 times, resulting in 19 yards. That was his second lowest rushing total of the season, and I'd look for the Broncos to establish the run early to set up their passing game on Sunday. That's one of the things they must do. It sets up all sorts of things. It also stops them becoming one-dimensional, but it also sets up play action passing and the deep ball that Manning likes to throw. Offensively, the Broncos must work harder to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers, particularly Demaryius Thomas. In the loss to San Diego, Thomas was only targeted a season-low 5 times and caught just 4 passes for 45 yards. The Chargers secondary was able to do a job on him, and the Broncos must come out with a different game plan that gets in the ball, be it by way of short passes or screens, anything to get in a rhythm early on. The defence may be the Broncos' biggest question mark entering this year's postseason. But all their praise and accolades that's been heaped on the Broncos' offence, and which accumulated through the 2013 regular season, the defence has often been cited as Denver's real Achilles heel. Aside from its below-average ranking in points allowed per game, 24.9, the defence ranked 27th in passing yards, 21st in touchdowns allowed on the season. Whereas some defensive units compensate for the lack of defence by forcing turnovers, Denver are in the middle of the pack. They're 16th when it comes to generating takeaways. If the Broncos are to avoid a letdown similar to the one they experienced last season, their defence has to step up and complement Peyton Manning and the offence in the playoffs. The return of Wes Welker would also be a plus for the Broncos. In his absence, I thought Denver's offence struggled. They certainly struggled against San Diego. They were better the past 2 weeks, but the opposition wasn't anything like the quality of the San Diego Chargers that they'll face on Sunday. Although Welker had what I would call, statistically speaking, the worst of Denver's big 4 receivers in Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker and Julius Thomas, he had the worst, statistically speaking, season. Welker's perhaps made the biggest impact to the group on the Broncos' offense. It's his ability to occupy attention in the middle of the field that creates opportunities for Denver's other receivers. So even if he's not involved in receiving the ball on the play, there's a lot of attention on him. The slot man's return to Denver's offense will be a huge boost. The question is, will he be as effective as he was prior to concussion by the time the Broncos take the field next weekend? If he is, the Broncos' winning chance is very much enhanced. Now, we went back to the top of the show. I was talking about our exclusive trading stat sheets and the information that they have in them, and they give us a guideline to compare with the price what's on offer from the other bookmakers. And these sheets are not just taken from games between the two teams; they're taken from a myriad of hundreds and hundreds of games of similar type of matchup. Now, you can see here that if Denver are leading by 7 points at halftime, 88% of the time they go on to win the game. That gives you a real clue as to how they go on and convert games, whereas 7 points at halftime, Denver only go on to win 52% of the time. And of course you can match those percentages into prices as well. We give those for 3 points a game and the game tied at halftime. Now these are just a small smidgen really of the amount of data that we've got available on those stat sheets. They can take into account the price at any time of the game. It's almost a sliding tissue we've got, and those are the statistical sheets that we use in our live trading room on Sunday, where we can predict a live tissue price and how likely from there statistically outcomes are to happen. It can just give you a good marker in the sand, as it were, to see how the prices are matching up and see if there's any actual value in the market as well. We can also look at, they also give the chances of rushing out for a 10-0 lead. That might be also useful if you're looking at prices in the race to a certain points market, or if you're looking at the winning margin. Here you can see the chance of a 10-0 lead happening. Denver 15%, it's only 5% for San Diego, and the chances of leading by 3 points or more in the fourth quarter, Denver's pretty high, 79% chance there. Now those statistics, they're just literally are a small taster of the data that we have available in the room. The sheets are available to NFL Insight. We've been developing them all year, and they give us live updates and our live updates which we fire into the trading room on Sunday there. They make it very, very easy for us to assess match situations and what odds are available at an instant. See in some cases how much, what I always call market love, there is for certain teams, and I'm sure there will be for Denver on Sunday. There will be. It'll take an awful lot to move their price. Probably even the Chargers popping out to us, even sort of leading by 10 points. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this match preview. They're a small part of what we do here at NFL Insight, and you can subscribe to them via the NFL Insight TV channel, which is Live and Dangerous on YouTube, where we preview all the latest games. Of course, next week we've got the NFC and the AFC Championship game, followed by the Super Bowl. We're back with a big preview for that. In fact, we'll probably do a few previews that week on the various markets that are available and try and update those throughout the week. And I'll be back soon with those. Now, if you also like your betting and your betting focused previews, then you can get those via www.betting-insight.com, where we look at all the best betting opportunities on the game once I've taken into account a lot of the tactical factors that I've spoken about in this preview. I hope you like what we're doing here at NFL Insight. We believe that it's a new way of looking at the NFL, and we'll be here providing preview, statistics, trading views and betting advice. I've been Andy Richmond. This has been the preview of the AFC divisional round game between the Denver Broncos and the San Diego Chargers, which is live on Sunday on Channel 4. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you all again soon.